Hello, everyone. Welcome to our, was this September? October book of the month, which is Jade War. We're Subtle Asian Book Club. I'm Tiffany, one of the co-hosts, and today I'm here with
Alexandra from Trolling Pages, and we have our special guest who is
Breana from Milky Boo's.
Yay!
Woo, our third brain cell. So we're so excited to be doing a live discussion because I think it's been a while since we've actually discussed the book together as a group, mainly because we've been very lucky to have authors join in just to talk more about whatever it is that they're writing. So it's more of like an interview, but today we're just going to be diving in, talking about spoilers, and telling about how we all had our hearts broken by Jade War. And if you didn't know, Jade Legacy, which is the finale to the Greenbone Saga, is going to be our January 2022 book of the month. And Fonda is going to be joining us for that live show. So bring your questions, bring your excitement, bring your tears, and yeah. How's everyone feeling?
Good. It's been a long time since we had our chiller discussions.
You, a chill discussion, me, traumatized.
Oh, yeah.
I guess first thing, what did everyone think? I obviously am here because this is my favorite series of all time. So my thoughts are obvious. I gave it a 5-star. I recommend it to everyone. I forced like my whole family to read it. And I have much more to say about this gigantor of a book, but what did you guys think?
I also gave it 5 stars. I think it's a little difficult to compare it to Jade City in terms of which one I like better. But the way I describe it is like anytime I thought there was going to be a dull moment, something happens that just sucks me back in. So like whether it's a character death or someone, honestly, mainly character deaths, but whenever something big happened, like I felt like I couldn't put the book down.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think like I was definitely more engaged in the second half of the book where I was like, I must finish and be attached to the story, and I couldn't really focus on my regular day-to-day life because of it. But I think I would like it more if I reread it and read it like more slowly, because I was like trying to cram and finish it early. So I feel like now that I know what's gonna happen and I know these characters a little bit more, I will enjoy it more when I reread it. But yeah, I really liked it.
I think for me and B, this was a reread. Also, if you're joining us in the live chat, let us know if this is your first time reading the book, what you thought of it. We want to hear your thoughts, your star rating, if you believe in star ratings. But I realized we also never did a synopsis of the book. Should we talk about that, or do you think people know?
We can do a synopsis. That's hard to pack to adequately explain. Do you want to give it a shot?
Okay, you can fill in the blanks. But Jade War is a sequel to Jade City, and Jade City is essentially like, I think Fonda pitches it as the Godfather kind of mafia-esque in a urban fantasy setting. So it's mainly about like clan wars, and it revolves around, the magical part of this book revolves around Jade, which is the Jade Stone, and it kind of amplifies people's abilities. So the way I think of it is like Superman. Like if you have strength, you're extra strong. You can channel, you can heal, you can perceive. Your senses are essentially heightened. And in the first book, we've had our main characters, Shay, Hilo, and in the Call family, essentially. And they're taking on the new role of basically running this entire clan with the death of their grandfather, which is what this book starts off with. So that's a mild spoiler. And in the first book, a major spoiler is the eldest son, Lon, passes away or is killed. So they're kind of grappling with these deaths and as well as the responsibilities of being the leaders of their clan when the Mountain Clan, which is the rival clan, is their greatest opponent, as well as a lot of foreign interference from the Ispenia, Shatarians, Yucatanans, something like that.
Yucatanians, yeah.
So that's kind of like the general premise of the book. If you haven't read it, if you haven't read book 1, I'm assuming you have because you're here. But we highly recommend it, and gonna join us reading book 3.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like this book does so much with action, fantasy, political intrigue, and character development that it's hard to say. It's like family relationships as well. So it's hard to just categorize it as like, oh, this is like the one main storyline, because there's so many interweaving. And I think that's what makes this series so great, personally. So there's something for everyone. If you like political intrigue, this has that. If you like really strong familial relationships and character development and character assassination, this has that. if you like romance, this also has that. Not in the traditional sense, but there is romance. If you like really good action scenes and a really interesting fantasy magic system, this also has that. So
I also think
whatever
as
you want.
I also think as someone who does not have siblings, I just love the sibling dynamics within this book. Because I just imagine this is what it is like to fight with your sibling, though on a grander scale. Is that what you're gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say I saw April comment. Well, let me just show it. That book 2 versus book 1 is that like book 2 has definitely goes into everything a lot more, and I agree with it because I feel like when I was reading Jade City initially, it was kind of hard because it's like a new fantasy like world, and the world is a lot, and so you kind of have to like learn and like understand what's going on. But then when I was reading Jade War, it's like, oh, I already know these characters. I already know Hilo, Andon, Shay, like all of these people that I already like and am familiar with, and then I can just like go into it. And then plus Fonda goes into like a lot of different plot lines within it. So I really like reading it from Andon's point of view, and he's like in a different country, and then like what's going on here, and then we get to know more about like the antagonists, like what's going on with the Mountain Clan. So much happens.
Okay, so why don't we get into the spoilers? And I think a good question I want to start off with is obviously Hilo, I would say maybe is like our main character, one of the main characters of this book. And I think his character does a really big change. Like I think Breana described it perfectly as like character assassination. So did you guys like Hilo better in this book or in the first book? And I guess like why?
Hilo's my favorite character. I'm going to list the reasons why to defend my stance.
This feels like a debate. I'm gonna take on the
Let's
concept.
go.
Point one. I'm joking, but Hilo is my favorite character, not in the sense of I like him as a person, and because I feel like people tend to conflate those two. That if you like a problematic character, then you agree with the problematic actions they take, and that's not the case. I think Hilo is the best written character, and I think he's the most intriguing character because we see so much of his growth, and we see exactly what happens to him, and we're always in his mind. That every single time he takes an action that I'm like, what? Why? I don't actually ask why because I know exactly what led him to this point. He also has a very distinct sense of morality. If you guys know like the Dungeons and Dragons moral chart, I personally would think Hilo's lawful evil in this second book because he acts by a very distinct moral code. So like I guess since we're in the spoiler section now, since he kills Amy because she betrayed his family, left Lon, and then is trying to raise the heir to the Call family throne, essentially, with away from Jade. He thinks she's a horrible traitor. He kills her because that's due to his own moral code. He also kills like the stepfather, the new guy that she cheated on Lon with. And that's obviously for us, that's like, oh my God, you just like kidnapped a child and killed his parents.
Amber alert going off.
Yeah, Amber alert. Like he can use man kidnapping child, but for him, he thinks that's a step like that's closure for him on Lon's storyline. Morally, she did wrong to his family, and therefore she should die. And I think that all of his actions moving forward, I always understand, even if I don't agree with them. And getting to watch someone devolve into like a complete degenerate of a person in front of my eyes was incredible. And I think that's what I think Fonda Lee does best as an author is her character development is the strongest of any author I've ever read, whether that's like literary fiction, historical, like any genre. I think Fonda Lee does the best in putting you directly into the character's mind so that you always understand why they did what they did. And Hilo's chaos is incredible.
Well,
You think he's more lawful evil?
Because I think
not chaotic evil.
Because I think chaotic evil is like you don't care about anyone or anything.
True.
And you just kind of go about.
Okay, in my mind, that's Aimata.
Oh yeah.
But I remember like another major death scene, I think, in the book. I was texting our little group chat the scene where they catch Moot, who's like Barrow's accomplice, and then he's like bragging, I killed Law, and he's wearing Law's Jade because he obviously took it from Barrow. And then Hilo literally just like shoves Jade into his mouth and then tapes it shut, buries him in a box, buries that box. I think that like place where he buried him was like the same cemetery where Lon was buried. And then you see, he's like, the description's like, and you see it like just a lot of quiet with a little straw poking out from the dirt. And I'm like, and he's like,
My boy.
Breana's just out here like, yes, yeah.
And then I was like, dude, Hilo's unhinged. And then literally Breana texts, Hilo's a degenerate.
Yeah,
I think I need to look up a degenerate means.
Yeah, I think that's what is so genius about his character is that it's not like, oh, one horrible action. He's like, oh, I feel bad about it. He does a horrible action. He's like, that was correct, and that's what I was supposed to be doing, and I'm going to continue serving justice according to my moral compass. And then he has a moral compass that's so obviously defined from his character development that I understand why he does what he does. So I'm not feeling like this is out of nowhere, that this is so cruel, and I'm like, oh, this is just Hilo.
This is so
It's just Hilo being sadistic.
Yeah. I find that so interesting because even though like now when you say it like that, like looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. But when I was reading it, I was still like, what is going on? I'm like so surprised, but also kind of not really because I know Hilo's kind of a lot. So at the same time, I'm like, what's going on? But because of that and because you are able to see that, do you have like any guesses of how he will be like in Jade Legacy? Or do you have any?
I think so much of his, sorry, just to interject.
Go ahead.
But I think so much of his character will be shaped by what happened to Wen. So like major spoilers, like obviously Wen is very severely injured in that final fight scene at the end of the book, and Andon manages to save her, but of course she ends up being, I think, half paralyzed on the right side of her body. I don't know like how much brain damage she is going to be suffering, but that's definitely going to shape like his character. And I also think like a major final scene he has in this book is his discussion with Andon, and he's saying like, oh, how am I ever going to forgive her? Like Wen betrayed me, but like at the same time I know Wen does like what she wants. She can be very persuasive. So how is that going to impact his character?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely true. Because I know for Hilo's whole thing is that he doesn't have anyone besides family, which is why Shay leaving hurt him so much and why he was so vile to her when she came back. And for Wen, she's similar to Hilo in that way where she'll do anything for family, even if the rest of her family is like, why are you doing that? Don't do that. Wen wants to be active. She wants to protect her family. She wants to be part of the clan in every way possible, even though she's a Stone Eye. And I could see that where Hilo's blind to that motive for her and just thinks of it as like a personal betrayal, and it drives a wedge in their relationship. And I could see that affecting their children because the last book takes place over 20 years, so we're going to see all the children grow.
Oh, that's
and
great.
I feel like that could
little Nico, what's the other guy?
I know.
Rue. Dude, okay, I think I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm also really excited to see like Rue's development as a character because he is a Stone Eye, and I feel like he probably is going to have a lot of internal conflict / battle, especially because he's like a male, supposedly supposed to be a green bone, but he is like, I think it's going to be very obviously written, in my opinion, that like he is the father, that Nico is like the child that Hilo always wanted, and Rue cannot live up to that. I think that's going to be like a storyline for sure.
I feel like I could see that happening too. Now that you bring that, I could see the family factioning to be like Wen and Rue, and then Hilo and Nico, and then their daughter's kind of like a rogue because she's.
So a divorce.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna be a divorce per se, but I could see there being a fork in the road in terms of what action to take as the pillar of the clan, and Hilo's vehemently one way and Wen's the other way, and that's just gonna cause like further divide. And I could see if he does end up having like extreme marital problems with Wen and extreme distancing from his children, that it's going to make him go even more unhinged. I feel like there's no way Hilo of all the characters makes it out of the third book alive, because this man should have died like 15 times throughout this story. Like, I feel like at some point he has to meet someone who is as strong or stronger than him, and he doesn't get lucky. Like there's no Andon there to help him make Ken to accidentally get into the car when he was supposed to be in the car. I feel like his luck has to run out, and that all his revenge killings that he's been doing have to catch up to him, because those people had family too. So someone's gonna have to come after him, right? Like
but that's like any character. That's like Aimata being like, Aimata needs to die. Like Aimata, I think, definitely will die, but I can't imagine Hilo dying. I can see like Barrow dying.
Wait.
And then you're like, his luck has to run out.
Fonda Lee. This is Fonda Lee. I feel like she will kill Hilo.
She's gonna kill one of the Call family members, like for sure. Like someone's gonna die, like whether it's Andon Shay. But because I just think it's interesting. You're like, oh, his luck has to run out. I was like, isn't that like the definition of Barrow's entire storyline of like his luck?
But I feel like the way that Fonda writes, I mean, I could see Barrow dying or living, but I think the way Barrow's been written to frustrate the reader, but also to kind of represent like the common person who doesn't have access to Jade and to the wealth that it gives, like the frustration that no one is safe, the frustration that like not the commoners, but the masses have against this Jade wearing clan that hoards all the wealth essentially, and they're out there powerless and getting caught up in their violence and all that stuff. I could see Barrow getting even stronger, or at least his cause becoming stronger.
I want to see Barrow meet Andon.
What if Barrow tries to become Andon's new boyfriend so that he can infiltrate the Call family?
I mean, honestly, I was just thinking that.
I think they're around the same age.
Yeah, and Andon has no boyfriend now. Corey's back in Hispania.
Yeah. And also Andon's trusting.
Mm-hmm.
Far beyond what he should be trusting people.
Andon's a healer now.
She's a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen? Oh.
Wait. I want to ask for spoilers, but we're live, so I can't ask for spoilers of what happened in Jujutsu Kaisen.
No Jujutsu Kaisen spoilers.
Don't do that.
She's also a fan of Attack on Titan, so like if that says anything.
Oh.
Wait, this is a side note, but Breana and I are going to an anime convention together.
What? When?
I'm so excited.
December 3rd through the 5th. You should come through in Dallas.
Oh, no, I'm gonna be in New York. I'm moving.
Wait,
where is it?
Dallas.
In Fort Worth.
Oh,
yeah, Texas.
That's fun. Dang.
Nina, come through. I want to see you.
Yeah, join them.
But if there's any other anime convention next time, we should go to that. But anyway, back to the actual book. You know what there should be? There should be a Jade City like graphic novel.
Oh, yeah.
That would be really.
I thought that'd be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, did it get onto auction on TV? I feel like it wasn't it?
Yeah, there's gonna be a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who's doing it?
No, we don't know cast yet.
Oh no, not the cast, but like the production company.
Oh, I don't know.
Because I feel like HBO would do such a good job.
Yeah.
Like thinking of like the Thrones-esque.
Yeah.
Ah!
As long as the writers on that show are good, because that's Game of Thrones' weak point, is the writers were
That's true.
doing well. Although the plus side, the difference between Game of Thrones and Greenland Saga is Greenland Saga will be finished.
True.
So they can't destroy the story.
Just for the sake of pulling it along. Okay, what else did we want to talk about?
Oh.
I know we have a little list that we wanted to go down, but we're just hopping all over the place.
Yeah, we had
Wait, so B's favorite character is Hilo. Who's your favorite character, Zan?
Oh yeah, we went on a really long tangent. My favorite character is Andon because I have a thing for soft boys. And I also think like it was really refreshing to read from his perspective while he was abroad, because like in the beginning he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stay and like be like what is he doing? He was like working at like a mattress, like a furniture company or something. And then Jay was like, no, we're shipping you across the country to a different place. And then he was like protesting, and then he made his own life there. And I feel like even though there was a lot going on for him, it was so mellow compared to what was going on in his home country with like all these murders and assassinations and just like all this other stuff. And he's like, I don't know if my boyfriend likes me, like I'm going to school, and like it was just like so refreshing to read from his perspective, and I really liked him as a character. And yeah, that was why. I'm not as complex as B being like, well, Hilo is lawful evil, so I don't agree with him, but he's my favorite.
Okay, not gonna lie, and the scenes are my least favorite.
Wait, what?
And the scenes were like not my like least favorite, but I did not find them as entertaining as like the other scenes, mainly because I was just like, he's just like there and then going to like the community center in Espania and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So I was like, it's interesting, and I think it's like good and that expands the world building, but it wasn't like my favorite. For me, I really just loved any of the Shay and Wen scenes. But mainly, one of the thing that like drew me into the Shay scenes was I was rooting so hard for her and Wood. And obviously that did not happen because I was like, oh, I need some romance. Like this.
He's also getting married to someone else. That's so sad.
Dude, honestly, like I feel for like whoever he's getting married to because she cannot live up to Shay. And like you know that he like still has feelings for Shay. And I was just like, Shay, why? And then, what is his face? Morrow. Morrow was just sketched from the beginning.
Oh, for sure. I was like, yeah.
But like, I think the scene where she had to kill him, that was so awful. Like, I didn't really have strong feelings for Morrow himself, but then like what that did to Shay was just next level.
I just think she like has such terrible luck with romance because I know that like people are like, stop talking about like romance books and fantasy novels, like blah blah blah, like let the fantasy novels be what they are. But I was like rooting for her. And then, do you remember the first book? She had like a neighbor who was like assigned to her by Philo.
Yeah,
I was rooting for them.
He got murdered.
And this book, yeah, he got murdered, and I was rooting for her and Moon. In this book, that didn't happen. She ends up with Morrow, and I was like, give me the benefit of the doubt, but this is not going to go well. So I'm like, I want her to just like have a happy ending. She can be a strong like boss woman if she wants to be in the last book, but like I think part of her, honestly, maybe after this she just swears off men entirely. She's like, good for her, but I think she deserves a happy ending.
Yeah.
I think her whole journey, at least from the first book and the second book, isn't about interpersonal relationships in that way, but in her terms of her general image and status within the clan. Because I think in the first book and through the first half of the second book, up to like her clean blade with Ait Mata, that her whole problem is that no one respects her as a member of the Call family because she's seen as a traitor who had left and come back and like slept with the enemy essentially. And when she comes back, so much of it is trying to be accepted not just by her brother and like her grandpa and everyone there, but being overall respected as the new weatherman, especially after someone as respected as Yundorapan had to step down disgracefully. They're like, if someone as esteemed as him can betray our clan, like what's left for the rest of us? When this girl who abandoned us for years is trying to step up and she doesn't know what's going on, she doesn't have established relationships with the community. And I think that's what made Morrow's betrayal of her and of the clan even more impactful for me, because in terms of how it plays into Shay's storyline, up to that point, she had nearly died and she lost all of her jade just to prove that she is a Call and that she will die for the clan, her blood for the clan. And then her boyfriend is the spy that took out the horn, that almost took out the pillar, that's been destroying the clan from the inside. And then her only option is to kill him or else lose all faith that she spent building up for years. And I feel like Shay never wins.
Yeah, Shay never wins. It's so unfortunate.
But I think her character arc is the clearest for me. Like Helos is like this. So but I think
have you watched The Good Place?
Yeah.
You know the reference to a Jeremy Bear Me?
Yeah, Jeremy Bear Me. That's the Helos plotline. It spells out Jeremy Bear Me. Like Shay's plotline is so far doing this, and it feels so bad for her because as soon as she earned respect, like right after her duel with Ait Mata, Morrow happens.
Yeah.
And I think also her having to grapple with that too is so interesting.
I think I really like the Shay and Wen like friendship that develops in this book though, like them actually like getting to be like sisters essentially, and especially the scene where she goes to get the abortion and like Wen being there for her, and Wen would be like, oh, if it were me, like I would want someone here. I was like, oh, I stand.
Yeah.
I don't remember 100% clearly, but is it like official that Shay's no longer Weatherman based off of what happens at the end? Because I remember like she gets into an argument with Hilo, he slaps her, and then you see her like at the temple place like praying, and the Ait Mata shows up. But I don't remember if it's like official that she is like no longer Weatherman.
I think it's official, but only between like her and Hilo. Because Hilo was like, you're no longer my Weatherman, but I don't think he announced it to the public yet. And it's also funny because like when Breana was talking about how she like is trying to prove herself as a Call, and then Morrow happens, she like like redeems herself, I was thinking in my head, I was like, wasn't there a part where she confronts Hilo about the fact that she is a call and she wants to be here and she's like sacrificed and done so much, and then he still like puts her aside and just is like, no. And I was like, did that happen before or after? And I remember now it is at the end, like the last scene when she is confronted by Hilo, or actually she just tells him, she's like, oh, here's what I did. I'm so sorry. And he's just like, I could never trust you. You like left and you abandoned me and all this horrible stuff. And she's like, I'm so sorry, but like, I still did all this and I still am a call and I still want to be here, even though I didn't want to be here initially. And that's why I left. And then he still is like, you're not my weatherman. I'm pretty sure. Right?
I feel lucky that Shay's not power hungry. He was very lucky that she's not power hungry.
Yeah.
I also like, I don't remember if it was this book or it was the book before, but like I also proposed that they kill off Hilo and then Shay could be her weatherman.
Oh, Aimana's weatherman?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they like
I don't remember if this book or the book before, but I do remember that happening.
Yeah, I remember that too, like me in the temple, and then she's like, you called me here to betray my brother. And Aimana was like, what use are brothers? What use are men? Like, just kill
Where's the lie though? Where is the lie?
Just kill them.
I find Aimana's character really interesting. Like, I kind of want to read more from her perspective because what is like my thing is like, what is her end game? You know, she has no heirs. She's just trying to retain power for as long as she can until like she can't anymore. That's
true. Like, what is her future plan for the Mountain Clan? Because I feel like she's smarter than just to be power hungry and want to hold on to power. She has to have some future in store for since she doesn't have any kids. Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder, I know Fonda Lee's dropping some short stories before Jade Legacy comes out. I know there's a Hilo 1 story. I don't know what the other ones are.
It's on her Patreon. I am not on her Patreon, but maybe this is a sign to be.
Yeah, I need to join because I need to see what's going on. Yeah, but I definitely agree. I feel like Aimana would be a really interesting because we don't get anything from her perspective. I feel like getting into her mind would be really fascinating.
Especially because she's like, oh, even though like we don't want foreign interference, like it's inevitable, so we might as well just have it on like green bone terms, which I think is a very interesting perspective.
Yeah, I kind of agree with her in that way because it is inevitable, and I think like she's doing it in a smart way, but then Hilo is just really stubborn, and I feel like it may cause even more trouble for him in the future. Also, I feel like Hilo in general is just, he has too much pride, and there are a lot of other flaws in his character, but that's fine.
That's fine.
I mean, he is who he is.
I think we talked about it a little bit, but I'm looking at Breana's notes, but we could talk about Wen and Amy as foils.
Oh yeah, that was something that I thought about a lot because Lon and Amy was primed to be the perfect pillar wife, because the same way Lon was primed to be the perfect pillar. And then once Amy found out what being a mob wife essentially is going to entail, like waiting for your husband to maybe just die and never come back, like you're left by yourself, the turmoil, the violence of being in clan life. It's not for her. She doesn't want to be a part of this. She doesn't want to be like the face of this type of organization. And so she flees with somebody else. Whereas we have Wen, like Lon wanted Amy to be a part of the family in that way. Hilo wants Wen to be his wife, but he doesn't want her to be part of the clan, participating actively as the pillar's wife in the same way. Whereas Wen is ready to step up and be part of the clan in every way possible. But her husband's like, don't do this. Stay at home. Hang out with the family.
The horns kitten.
The horns kitten. Yeah. And it's so interesting because you get to see these two women who both have very obvious wants and needs that conflict so much with where they are ultimately and like what the other important people in their life want. And then getting to see Wen step up to the plate every time, even if her husband doesn't want her to, even if he was against it. She always wants to jump in, go behind his back to do more for the clan too, both in the first book and in this one to a very extreme extent. And it's so interesting to see how Fonda Lee developed those two characters. Even if we don't see that much of Amy, like you get enough knowledge of her before she is brutally murdered. Um, to kind of understand, like, I feel like that also informs more of Hilo's opinions of what a pillar's wife should be, because he's already seen one betray the pillar once and he doesn't want it to happen again, or even like for Wen to die again.
Valid. I love Wen so much. I think I remember like the first scene that really stuck out to me was just like knowing, like, not to underestimate her, was when she was like recalling a past memory when just like knowing how Hilo like really doesn't discriminate against Stone Ice, and he went to like their family house for dinner and was like talking to her brothers, and then Wen was just like, that's the man I'm gonna marry, and then she made it happen. I was like, wow, manifesting works. But just like how smart she is, like how much she does, like the whole bringing the jade to Espenia for the people to use, like Port Massey, like all of them to use, and even at the end, she just feels like fearless, like knowing that she doesn't want to give up this opportunity to kill off, what was his name? Starts with the S. Sapunio?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
it's just Z.
So like, okay. I'm listening to audiobooks, so I hear S. But Sapunio, like, knowing that like she can't let that opportunity go to waste, she's like willing to like risk it all, even though she knows she does not have like the traditional green bow like training or powers.
Yeah, that was a really, really powerful scene. I distinctly remember her killing him and then her being like, I did that. Like, that will forever live with me, that I killed this person who has caused so much pain and so much harm. And it doesn't matter if people know about it, but it's the fact that she did it. And I feel like that's really powerful, is that like she will do all of this stuff of like helping with the jade, import export thing, and then like killing off a person and like risking her life for her family, and then being okay with like nobody knowing about it.
Yeah.
And plus she has like no formal training in the background, and like plus she's a stone eye and like all this other stuff, and she's just like, I will do it for herself.
Yeah. And also the scene, like, I think very similar to Hilo, and this is like obviously why they're married, just like the love they have for their family. That scene where her brother basically explodes because of the car, like everything just like gets blown up by the bomb. Her first instinct is to like protect Nico and the kids, and she's like no time to even like grieve or like stress. She just goes to like the nearest lantern place, gets the call into like Shay or Hilo, and just like does things so methodologically that like
methodically,
it's just very methodically. It's like very admirable. But like terrifying.
I think Wen is the perfect pillar wife, even if Hilo doesn't think so. She's the perfect wife for Hilo, even if Hilo doesn't think so. I love Wen's my second favorite character. I think for that specific reason, her and Hilo are so similar in what they do. It's like not for glory, but for love. And so
that's a good quote. Not for glory, but for love.
Yeah. Because it's just for family. Like, Hilo doesn't care what people think of him. If they think he's a horrible person, if he's a disgusting murderer, he just does what he thinks is right to protect the people that he loves, his family, his sister, like his kids. Everything about that's important to him, and important to Wen too, for them to risk dying for and to kill other people to protect what they have. Yeah, I think Wen is just so smart and so cool, and she's a perfect wife, and Hilo should care more about her.
Yeah,
but that's asking for too much, because that man is lost to the world.
I just want to know I'm just glad she's alive, first of all, but I'm very curious to know, because I think like all of this fear of Hilo wanting to just keep her protected is going to be exacerbated because now she's like paralyzed, and she went through all of the ending of this book in the next book.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think she will die. Because if Fonda wanted to kill her off, she just would have at the end. So I don't think she'll die, and I think that what we said earlier about the theory of like using Wen and Hilo as a divide between their family and their kids too will be a really interesting plot tool in the next book. But also very painful. Very painful.
You know what I suddenly think? I think yes, Hilo will die, and I think the next pillar is going to be Andon.
Andon. You think he would ever want to step back into clan life in such a dramatic way?
I don't think he would want to, but I think he would for
I
family.
think he would, because his viewpoints and like him as a character just is so contrary to the traditional Greenbone original like viewpoint. But he has gone through so much, and like, no, this is my prediction for the next book. This is like maybe a little wild. Maybe we're just gonna get rid of all the clan stuff, right? Maybe like there's gonna be
That's
a
what I
president
thought.
or something. I think they're gonna get rid of all the clan stuff. I think
That's
there's gonna
what
be
I
like a president or something, and Andon is the prime person to take on that position. One, because he is half Hispanian and has like Hispanian like background now, like because he's studied there. So it's prime to make him like a good candidate politically for like working with foreigners.
Mhm.
And his viewpoint of like working with Jade and like not letting it like you can like carve your own path with Jade, like being a Greenbone. It's not like that traditional way just because you grew up in the academy, that he is the perfect person to like be that president. I can also see Shay being that person, but I think she would not want to.
I agree.
I also feel like she has to die too. I don't know why.
Really?
I don't have any reasons for why I think she has to die. I just feel like I could see the character arc of Hilo and Shay ending in like a dramatic death, with the two of them fighting side by side finally after like, because it takes place over like 2 decades, right?
True.
It could be like the first decade it's just like Hilo Shay rivalry, like complete fallout, horrible, and then finally in like the last moment to defend like Hikon, they fight side by side one last time and then die horrible heroes' deaths that neither of them wanted. I feel like that would happen person, but I feel like that might happen, and then it would like end the clans entirely. I feel like 2 decades there has to be a cultural revolution,
Yeah.
of some sort, not just between the clans, but like an entire upheaval of the Kikonese system. So I feel like I can definitely see Tiff's predictions coming true.
Yeah, I see this coming true. I'm calling it now.
Okay.
But I agree with April's comment. Like, Andon looks up to Hilo so much. Like, if Hilo died, I think Andon would step up.
Me too. It's like, I don't think he would do it now because he definitely doesn't want to, and he's already like skeptical to be back in the family. But then I think something like that would really just like shake him to the core.
I'm thinking back in Jade City when like we first see Andon at school, and then he and Hilo meet, and Andon's like ready for Hilo to beat the crap out of him because that's just how they interact. I was like, oh, this is an interesting relationship.
And they just say when he gets like lost in the mountain or whatever.
Oh no, not even. It's literally just when Hilo goes to say hi to him at school, and Andon's like, I'm ready. Hilo's about to try to beat the shit out of me.
Okay, well, we talked about Hilo, obviously. We talked about Wen. We talked about Shay. Why don't we talk a little bit more about Andon and like his experience in Hispania?
Ooh, yes. I thought his experience, while very different from the rest of the book in terms of political intrigue and like family dynamics, it was still interesting because I've never seen a fantasy book or like anything outside of literary fiction kind of delve into like the immigrant experience the way that Jade Legacy did, and I didn't expect to see so much description of what it's like to be an immigrant in another country and how the Kikonese people held on to their jade and how their use of it and their relationship to it is defined both by wanting to hold on to the cultural heritage of Kikon and also wanting to build a space for themselves in Hispania without completely alienating the native culture there. And then how they have like basically what like IRL we would call ethnoburbs, where you just have like a little area of the city where just like
the
all
little
of the
community center.
Yeah, the little community center. And I feel like that's such a distinct immigrant experience that I loved being able to see that in a fantasy novel where I didn't expect that type of conversation to be present, and in being able to find that community center the same way that a lot of new immigrants gravitate towards areas of the city that they can find other people like themselves who are holding on to their cultural heritage and keeping it alive. I thought it was just so interesting to get to see all of that and to see people who were like Kikonese blood but born in Hispania. Like, it's just super interesting, that dynamic of what that world looks like, and I wonder if it's going to come back in the next book at all.
Yeah, especially with like Corey. I don't want to say he's like rejecting his Kikonese heritage, but he's like not wanting to be a Greenbow. He's like not wanting to do all these things. But you also see this mix of people still wanting. I know it's not called like a fight, but like they like have fights in the community center just so people can like let out their like Greenbone powers or whatever. So it's interesting to see all of that. I find that I forgot. I was gonna say something else, but I forgot what I was gonna say.
Sorry, I paused.
You said that too fast. We were both like, "What?" And then we paused, and we're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah,
I
but,
do
the
think
oh,
I think like we will definitely see we'll have a viewpoint in Espenia because foreign powers are going to be a big thing in
Yeah.
the general political climate, is my theory. I'm pretty sure.
Do you think? Because obviously Andon's back, so I don't see him being the one going back. But I could see either Shay or one of the kids going to Espana to study.
Oh,
Mm,
maybe Nico,
yeah.
because
I
he
think
spent
there's
the
like-
first, like, however much of his life there. Right? No, not Espana. He wasn't
No,
in Espana.
that's
Where was he? He
Shatari.
was abroad. Oh, yeah.
Shatarian, I think.
I thought her husband
Right?
was, or I thought, like, Amy's new husband was the equivalent of, like, a Nordic country. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't
Yucatan?
remember exactly.
Egoton? I don't know.
He's from the steppe, STE. Yeah,
Steppenland.
Steppenland.
Oh,
Yeah.
April
Steppenland.
coming in clutch.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
was like, that's what I was like. I don't think he's from Egoton. He's like Steppenland. Yes, the steps. Yeah. The thing with the fights too in Espana that I thought was interesting is another aspect of cultural heritage being deemed barbaric by the native, like the locals, but it being such an important part for the immigrant community to continue doing, because like they don't view it as barbaric. It's a really important part of their culture. They're doing it in a controlled setting, and then you have forces coming in. You have to like bribe them off to ignore you, because otherwise you're going to come and like destroy this really important cultural practice that you guys are trying to maintain in your little space of this world. And I thought that was a really interesting facet of that story too.
I remember what I was going to say earlier, but the scenes where Andon is in Espana, it reminds me so much of when we were reading We Are Not Free.
Oh.
Just like the vibes, and obviously it's like the same idea, just like diaspora and people viewing you as like barbaric and savages and just like different, and that discrimination you face. But particularly because there's, I think, a scene where Andon goes to like the grocery store and he looks Espanian. So he's like not judged too much at first, but then something happens where he sees someone who's like either Cantonese or like, I don't remember exactly, but like there's some form of discrimination there. And it just reminded me so closely of there is a scene in We Are Not Free where someone goes to buy ice cream at a grocery store and then faces that like same discrimination. So I was like, oh, parallels. Experience is universal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think how many more? It's coming out soon, right? In 2 weeks or so. The third.
November 30th.
Yeah, just a little over 2 weeks. That's
That's
I
crazy.
pre-ordered 3 copies for all of us, so that'll come to my house when it comes to my house.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I was like, oh, I kind of want to reread Jade War before Jade Legacy comes up, but now that I think about it, I'm like, realistically, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, you have 2 weeks.
But also, luckily, this is our January book of the month. So, like, I want to read Jade Legacy as soon as possible, but it's gonna happen in like our live show is probably gonna happen like early February. But we also got the Lumicrate editions.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Story time. Zan was freaking asleep, but I was like, because I messaged our group chat, we're like, guys, it's going to happen now. The sale's going on now. B replied that she got it, and I was like, okay, Zan's definitely asleep, so I'll just order it for her.
I was in fact asleep. I woke up and Tiffany was like, I got it for you, and I was like, perfect. Talk about this in advance, but I would like it.
At the person who says they're from the UK and they don't know how to get a signed copy of Jade Legacy. I don't know if they're still available, but Illumicrate did have signed copies of the trilogy.
I don't know if they're still available, but I'm pretty sure indie bookstores will ship internationally. You just have to pay the international price, which is like a little unfortunate.
Yeah, it's at the same price as the book.
You should also check, because I think Forbidden Planet is, because I got the UK edition of R.F. Kuang's Burning God from Forbidden Planet, and it was signed. And this is like a stretch to say, but like Rebecca and Fonda are friends. Maybe she's also doing signed copies at Forbidden Planet.
Yeah, I feel like there might be a couple retailers. You just have to put in some research.
Yeah, I just follow the author on Twitter. I feel like the authors always update what bookstores are selling signed copies on Twitter. That's where I found out about Forbidden Planet. For Burning God.
April's comment, I thought the docs were gonna, I totally pronounced that wrong, ask
The
Andon
call-
to train the green.
Oh,
I feel like they were kind of expecting it, but then I don't know if Andon ever explicitly explained his situation, but he just like wasn't using Jade anymore.
Yeah, because I remember when he
Because I remember they were like, "Ooh, he trained at the academy," but then
yeah, they didn't say anything and they didn't specify. I remember when he healed Wen in that like final scene, everyone around him was like, he could use like Jade.
Jade.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't remember if anyone in Espina knew about Andon's situation.
I don't think so. I think
Legitimately.
he kept it hush hush.
It's like I think they all knew something was wrong about why he got sent away, but no one was going to be like, "Hey, so what's wrong with you?"
What's wrong with you? Exactly.
So what's wrong? What happened to you?
You're like an heir to the top clan, and somehow you're here.
Yeah, like not by choice either. Like, why are you here?
Let's talk about the luckiest bastard of them all, Barrow.
Oh, right. Ooh. That last epilogue, every single time we're like, oh yeah, him. He's like side character. And then he always shows up at the epilogue or the prologue, and then you're like, something big is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't remember what really happens in the epilogue.
It's
in the
literally
epilogue,
3 pages.
Isn't he like approached by someone and he's like, I lost everything. I don't know what
he's gonna take down the clans. Yes.
And then they're like, oh, we have Jade. And he's like, I don't want Jade anymore. Like, I played with that and that's not my thing. And he's like, whoever he's talking to, I can't remember. They're like, oh, but we're going to like try to do something with the Call family. And he's like, I want revenge.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want Jade, but I want to take down the clans.
Yeah.
I think Barrow's character, honestly, I feel like he doesn't do much in this book, but his character arc is really bad. I think Barrow's character arc was like just like traveling and like walking around and just like doing nothing with like Moot, and then Moot tries to kill him, and then he's like in the hospital for a little bit, and then now he hates Jade.
Not
Moot tries to kill him, and then like him trying to like he's at the gambling house. He's like, I'm gonna kill myself right now, because he's just like so unfortunate.
That's true. Barrow's doesn't do as much consequential stuff in this book. Well, how do you beat killing Kalon? So
that's true.
Yeah, this book was less consequential, but I do feel like the third book. I always think that like Barrow himself isn't necessarily an important character, but like what he represents is important. So I feel like his chapters are just going to be a viewpoint, not into his own character development, because like he doesn't matter to the overall story, but like the people who share his ideologies matter. So he's going to be a viewpoint into like the opposition against the clans, and I feel like that also factors into like me thinking like Tiff like being like, oh, there's not going to be clans at the end. I feel like there's going to be a cultural revolution.
I think I agree.
Like there's just too many people getting involved in the situation for 2 decades of infighting and outward influence to not result in the destruction of clan life in total. Because clan life's not even that old. It's been like 3 generations of clan life.
Do you remember what it was before then?
No.
I don't know. I don't remember if the book delves into what exactly the political system was before.
So you think Barrow's gonna lead like a little army to go against? Because okay, this is my suspicion then. Maybe Barrow will team up with like foreigners, like Espenians. Maybe not Espenians, because Espenians are kind of like allies.
It's Shatarians. That Barrow meets at the end.
So maybe he's gonna team up with Shatarians to like take the clans down.
I think
originally I was gonna be like, you imagine Barrow just like having a little army of like non-Jade people trying to fight McCall and then just getting obliterated because they don't have Jade. So what are they gonna use? I think the only logical answer is like a machine gun.
Yeah, and even then they could. What is it? Deflection.
Yeah, I think it'll be like not only Barrow and his little army, but I feel like it'll be like a number of different factors coming all at the same time. Like probably Hilo's death, maybe from an assassination, either from Barrow or like from elsewhere, because a lot of people want him dead. and then plus like the Call family in that way is already weak, and they're like, I don't know what to do, and then this is a perfect opportunity for a side thing to like infiltrate, and then plus we have the Mountain Clan, who is like, they're like, the clans are already weak because they fight each other. Like if I don't like Aitmata, but then I feel like if they were to like team up, it would really, really help strengthen them. And then like foreign interface, and then after they can like deal with whatever is going on internally. But there's just like too much going on. So yeah, it would make sense for clans to like completely just disappear.
My prediction, Barrow's gonna have a fling with Andon, but do we think Barrow's gonna die?
I think he will die. I think like after the clans are done, then he will die. Maybe
How?
that would be like last
I think
thing.
he'll die, just not in a consequential way. I think he'll just be one of the masses that is
Off
a
during the
casualty
war.
in the war. Yeah, in the war. I feel like
Yeah.
that's just the natural ending of things, because like Barrow, he thinks he's important to the story because of a series of accidents that resulted in the death of Lon, but he's not actually important. So I feel like the natural ending to his story was that he also dies unimportant. But that it's after he dies that everything that he wanted to see come to fruition happens, because that'd be like the poetic beauty of it all, is that he doesn't get to see anything that he dreamt of happening. He just dies.
That makes
But
sense.
he's like,
Yeah.
but he's like the lucky person who just like escapes so many things. Like, I do think his like luck will run out, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think his luck will run out, and I like how B, you mentioned that like his character himself is not that important, but what he represents is really important. And so that's why I was like, oh, I think he's going to die, and that is somehow aligned with the clan dying. So like him dying would be like him finding success in his own way of like the clan's uprooting, but then I don't know what will happen first. Like either he'll die first or he'll die after, but it has some kind of relation with the clan dying.
So I think Hilo will die and then Barrow will die. And because Hilo's dead, he'll die happy.
I don't know about that.
Maybe. I don't know.
People are gonna die.
Yeah. Well, obviously, it's a Fonda Lee book.
Yeah.
I also feel like I could see Hilo. Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
I feel like I could see Hilo dying not from someone else's hand, but from his own, because of his extremely strict sense of morality, moral compass.
How?
I could see him like throughout the next 20 years. I could see him realizing, or like someone that like light bulb going off, that he's been like unintentionally destroying his family based on his actions and how unhinged he's become. And then someone is going to be like, for the good of the clan, you should no longer be a part of it. Like you should no longer be leading it. And then I feel like he'd be like, oh, like all the pain that he's caused his children, all the pain that he's caused his sister, all the pain that he's caused his wife.
But like based off of that, I feel like he would step down, but I don't see him like committing.
You don't think he's dramatic?
I think he's dramatic, but I don't see it like because he has kids. And he has a when? Like unless they're dead.
I mean, Nico was a kid too, and he killed his parents.
Yeah. I think he is capable of doing it. Like he would do it at like if it comes down to it, but I don't know if it will actually happen that way.
Yeah, I just don't see Hilo living to the end of the book.
Yeah, now that you say it, I don't think so either. I hope Wen makes it though.
I hope Wen makes it too.
I think she will. I think if one of them were to die, I think if Hilo were to die, Wen would live. Or it's the other way around. Yeah. So it's like it's either one or the other in my eyes. And because Wen has already survived, I feel like she would live to the end, because if Fonda wanted to kill her, she would.
She would already.
But I also think Fonda would be the type of author who's like, "Ooh, you think they made it? Just kidding." Kills them next book.
Okay, you're right.
Okay, we're getting close to an hour. Do we have any other thoughts or like predictions or things we like want to talk about this book?
I've aired out all of my thoughts.
He was a menace.
He was a menace.
He truly is.
A true degenerate.
Won't Poppy do on justice? Won't justice?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking at our notes. Wow, we talked about so much. Look at us. Yeah, this book is also a lot.
Yeah.
Did you listen to it on an audiobook, B, or did you read it?
I did both. I've done both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the audiobooks.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think the narrator's great.
I think the narrative is great. And you know how like the audiobook has like that action music? Oh,
Yeah.
it's so cute.
I just like reading it physically though, because I feel like I miss stuff in the audiobook, and the
I
stuff
agree.
ends up being important.
Before this call, we were going over names, and Sam was just butchering every single one because she was like listening to audiobook. She
Yeah.
was like, Amy, who's that? You mean Amy? Borrow.
Yeah, no. I listened to the audiobook, but the thing is, a lot of times I just remember vaguely what happens, and so I can't remember the names of things if I don't see it. And so that's why I'm like, I want to reread it in the physical copy. But this book is so chunky. Like, look at her. She's thick.
A chunky boy.
Chunky boy.
Did you guys? Oh, well, I was gonna say like, did you guys order the hardcover for Jade Legacy? But I'm assuming yes, because
I ordered it for you guys from the Barnes & Noble pre-order. Yeah.
TY.
Yes.
So, I think those are all the thoughts we had for Jade War. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited to be talking with Fonda Lee for Jade Legacy. We're so excited to see whether or not our predictions come true. Will the clans end? Most likely yes, in our opinion. We would love to know what you think. For November, our book of the month is Arsenic and Adobo, which is a Filipino, I would say it's like a murder mystery, like a cozy cooking murder mystery. And our live show for it is actually next Sunday, so we hope you can join. We also have our December book of the month, or probably going to announce it either today or tomorrow, but it is Against the Loveless World by Susan. I don't want to butcher the last name. Can you pronounce it? I believe so.
Yeah.
And we also have our February book of the month, which is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. So if you're watching, you get a sneak peek at all of these books we have lined up for the year and next year. So we hope you're excited. We hope you can join us again next month. And hopefully, in addition to like all of the author live interviews we have, let us know if you prefer these types of like discussion type things where we just air our grievances and our thoughts, or if you like the interview style, we'll try to do a good mix of both. But yeah, any other thoughts, comments?
No. So excited for all the books that we're going to read, specifically Jade Legacy, now that we've aired all of our thoughts out. And I'm like, all of our theories, what is going to happen? Yeah, that is what's
I do. I always like theorizing. This is one of the first times I actually read a series before it was finished.
Ooh.
So I'm excited.
Yeah. Also, I really like these discussions. They feel more natural. Like, not that the interviews are unnatural, but then usually for interviews, Tiffany and I
less pressure.
we have more pressure because we do have like a list of questions we want to go over and like think about timing. Yeah, this is a little
bit like we can't be stupid in front of these authors we admire versus B already knows we're stupid, so it's okay.
Yeah, I think those are it.
Okay. But thank you. We hope to see you next time.
Yay, thank you. Bye.